Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi amma ba'd. Welcome everyone, inshallah. In our today's lesson, we are going to analyze Suratul Falaq. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we have already done one surah, and that was Suratul Ikhlas. And inshallah, you'll see that some of the words which we have learned in that one, they will be inshallah coming in this one as well. So let's inshallah begin. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So as far as this Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which we call Basmala, we have already done the analysis of Basmala. So I will not go to this one again. So let's inshallah analyze the first ayah. So Kul A'udhu bi Rabbil Falaq. Okay. Kul. The first word is Kul. And we have discussed this first one in Suratul Ikhlas as well. Because in that one we have Kul huwallahu ahad. At that time we discussed this point that this kul is actually fail amr. We have discussed this one already. And inside of this kul we have the built-in file, and that built-in file is anta. Okay, so in the form of kul, you got these two things. You got your fail and you got your file. Let's move on. A'udhu. Now, when we discuss isti'aza, which is a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, we discussed this same word a'udhu, and at that time we learned that this a'udhu is actually fail mudare. And in our fail mudare chart, A'udhu is in the last line and it is at number 13, and which means ana. Okay, so which means that inside of A'udhu we have a file, a built-in file, and that built-in file is ana. Ana means I. Okay, so as we know that every fail has three forms. So this first word kul, which was a fail amr, it is Qala is the Madi form, Yaqulu is the Mudari form, and Kul is the Amr form. As far as A'udhu is concerned, Aza, Ain, Alif, and Za. Aza is the Madi form, Ya'udhu is the Mudari form, and Uz is the Amr form. Okay, the reason I'm saying this because about every fail we need to know these three forms. It's Madi form, Mudari form, and Amr form. Let's keep moving. So in A'udhu, as obviously A'udhu was a fail, so a Jumla failure started. We got the fail and we got the file ana. Let's see what else we got. Bi Rabbi, Ba and Rabbi. We all know that Ba is a jar, and because of this jar, Rabbi is in jar status or majroor. So Ba is jar, Rabbi is majroor. But look at the next word, Al-Falaqi. Now you can see Al-Falaqi is a fail because it has Alif Lam in the start. And secondly, this Al-Falaqi is in jar status. How do I know? Because of its kasra at the end. Okay, now Al-Falaq is in jar status, and please pay attention. We have learned this point that whenever an ism is in jar status, you have to look what is before it. If before it is a preposition, it will be the jar majroor phrase. If you do not find a preposition before it, then it has to be a mudaf ilayhi case. Now, Al-Falaqi is in jar status. When you look before Al-Falaqi, you have the word Rabbi. Now, obviously, Rabbi is not a jar, which means that this Rabbi and Falaki are a mudaf ilayhi case. In case, hypothetically speaking, if Rabbi was a jar, we mean a preposition, then Rabbi and Falaki will be a jar majroor phrase. But that is not the case. So now, because and if that is not the case, the only other option is that Rabbi and Falaki are actually mudaf ilayh, in which Rabbi is playing the role of mudaf and Al-Falaki is in the role of mudaf ilayh. So which means that this whole thing has gone in one bucket. And inside of it, this ba is the jar part. Okay, Rabbi was the majroor part. Okay, but because Rabbi and Falaki are together, but you can still say that Rabbi is the majroor part, but at the same time you know that Rabbi is playing another role, and which is Rabbi is playing the role of mudaf as well. I just put it here that Rabbi is playing the role of mudaf, and this al-falaki is playing the role of 1 second, I put it properly so you should not be confused. So Rabbi is playing the role of mudaf, and this al-falaki is playing the role of mudaf ilay. Okay, so now what have we got here? Auzu was fail, and inside of it was a file ana, and after that you got a jar majroor phrase, and we know that jar majroor phrase inside of jumla failiya is called muta'alliq. So this one is muta'alliq, and precisely muta'alliq bil fail. Now let's take a pause and let's analyze the whole ayah in a bigger picture. Kul, say. Now just if you ask to somebody say, our natural question is what I need to say. Okay, so this next part is giving you the answer of what, and we all know that this answer of what is always a maf'ul, which means that after kul you have a complete jumla failure in the form of a'udhu bi rabbil falak. Please pay attention. A'udhu bi rabbil falak is a complete jumla failure. Why? It has fail, it has file, and it has muta'alliq bil fail. It's a complete jumla failure. Okay, and this complete jumla failure is serving the role of maf'ul. I am not saying it is maf'ul. It is serving the role of maf'ul for who? For kul. So kul, say. Okay, what I need to say? Say a'udhu, I come in protection. Bi rabbil falaki, ba with Rabbi master, falaki dawn, with the master of the dawn. Say I come in the protection of the master of the dawn. Okay, this is the whole analysis of this first ayah. Okay, so one more time, kul is fail and file, and the next a'udhu bi rabbil falak is itself a complete jumla failure, but it is serving the role of maf'ul for kul. Clear? Let's move on. Min sharri ma khalaq. We all know what is min. Min is a jar. Okay, and you can see because of min, sharri is in jar status. Okay, sharri is majroor. Okay, ma khalaqa. Obviously, as far as ma is concerned, we know that so far we know two types of ma. One is ma of negation, and one is ma of mausula, ism mausul. Okay, we have learned this in our previous lesson. Now, you may be thinking that how would I know if this ma is ma of negation or is this ma is ma of mausula? My answer is you need to translate it. That is how you can figure out. Just by looking, just by sight, you cannot recognize that which ma is this. So let's look at this one. When you said, oh Allah, kul, okay, kul, Allah is teaching us, kul, that you should say, I come in the protection of the Lord of the dawn, okay, Rabbil Falak. Okay, from what? From the shar of what he created. So this ma is translated as what? And whenever you translate your ma as what, it means this ma is ma of ism mausul, which means that this ma is a ism mausul, and this khalaqa is a complete jumla failure. How do I know? I have taught you this already, that this a sound in the beginning and a sound in the end. Middle sound can change. For example, khalaqa, it starts with the a sound and end with the a sound. Why? Because kha has fatha and qaf has fatha. Khalaqa is a complete jumla failure. Because why? Because khalaqa is a fail madi, and every fail is a complete jumla on its own, which means there is khalaqa. Inside of khalaqa, you have two things. You got fail madi, and inside of khalaqa, you have also got your file, and that file is huwa, because khalaqa is number one in the madi chart. So inside of khalaqa, you got both of these two things, fail, madi, and file. And when you got these two things, khalaqa has become your complete sentence. And this complete sentence, khalaqa, is serving the role of sila. Swad, lam, ta, sila. Okay? Sila. Okay? This ism mawsool is ma, and the sila of the ism mawsool is khalaqa. Ma is the mawsool, khalaqa is the sila. Together, it is jumlatul mawsula. Now let's see what this jumla mawsula is doing here. Min mean from, sharri mean evil. Ma khalaqa, he created. You see, when you need to join sharri and ma khalaqa, you need to use an of. Min sharri ma khalaqa, from the evil of what he created. Because ma khalaqa mean what he created, and sharri mean evil. And inside of it, you need to insert of. And we all know that whenever you need to insert of in a translation, it is actually the construction of mudaf mudaf ilayh, which means that this sharri is playing the role of mudaf, because sharri is playing one role of majroor. We've seen this already. But at the same time, sharri is playing the role of mudaf in one sense, and this whole thing, ma khalaqa, the whole thing, ma khalaqa, is playing the role of mudaf ilayh as well. Mudaf ilayh. Okay, so now let's analyze this thing in a bigger picture. Min is jar, sharri was majroor. This was end of story. But sharri is connected with ma khalaqa. How? Because sharri and ma khalaqa are in a relationship of mudaf mudaf ilayh. So I am not saying that ma khalaqa is simply mudaf ilayh. No, I'm saying that ma khalaqa, this complete jumla mawsula, because ma is ism mawsul, khalaqa is the sila, ma and so mawsul and sila together is a jumla mawsula. Ma khalaqa is a jumla mawsula, and this jumla mawsula is playing the role of mudaf ilayh for who? For sharri. Okay, so now you can say that min is jar, sharri ma khalaqa is in the bucket of majroor. Why? Because sharri was in the bucket of majroor, but because sharri is connected with ma khalaqa, so we put all of this stuff in one bucket. Now as far translation is concerned, min mean from, sharri mean evil, ma mean what, khalaqa mean created, he created. Okay, from the evil of he created, which means in this first ayah you said, Allah is teaching us that you should say, A'udhu bi Rabbil Falaq. I come in the protection of the Lord of Dawn, from the evil of what he created. Clear? Let's look at the next ayah. Wow. This wow is a harf ataf, which means it is a conjunction. This wow is connecting the coming sentence with the previous sentence. What was previous? Min sharri ma khalaqa. What is coming? Min sharri ghasikin iza waqab. So these both are connected to each other with this wow. Okay. Again, we don't need to go. We know that min is jar. We have discussed in the above ayah already. Sharri is in the role of majroor. But look again. Sharri mean evil. Ghasikin mean night or darkness. Okay. Both are right. Okay. So ghasikin, if you translate it as night, okay, shar, it does not literally mean night in a metaphorical sense. In this ayah, it is giving the meanings of night. Otherwise, the word for night is layl. Okay, this ghasik means darkness. And because darkness is the main feature of night, so metaphorically speaking, night is referred as ghasik in this ayah. So, sharri, evil, ghasikin. Ghasik means night, evil of night. You see, you translate between sharri and ghasik, you have to put an off, which means that in this place, this sharri and ghasikin are connected as mudaf mudaf ilayh. And another simple sign is ghasikin is in jar status. You can see this kasra. And I mentioned before, whenever ism is in jar status, you need to look what is before it. Before ghasikin, you have sharri. And obviously, sharri is not a preposition. So the only other possibility is that sharri and ghasikin are mudaf mudaf ilayh. Now, min was jar. Sharri and ghasikin are in the role of mudaf. Okay, sharri is the mudaf and ghasikin is the mudaf ilayh. I'm just making it a bit short. So mudaf and mudaf ilayh and sharri ghasikin together is actual sharri was majrur. But because sharri is connected with ghasikin, so I'm going to ask both sharri and ghasikin as majrur bucket. Clear? In reality, min is jar and sharri is majroor. But because sharri and ghasikin are connected to each other in a relationship of mudaf mudaf ilayh, so I put them in one bucket. Okay? Min sharri ghasikin iza waqaba. Now please pay attention. I'm going to teach you something about this iza. It came first time in our discussion. So there are two words, iza and is. Now please pay attention. Most of the time, is will come for Madi and Iza will come for Mudare. In translation, we translate both of them either is or Iza, we translate them as when. But we should know that most of the time, by and large, is in the meaning of past and Iza in the meaning of future. Okay? So that is one point. Second point is, and this is very important point, after Iza, many a times you will see a fail madi. As in this case, iza and then wakaba, you see this sound in the start and sound in the end. I said this is a sign of fail madi. So after iza, if you get a fail madi, you will translate this fail madi as fail mudare. Clear? One more time. After iza, if when you get a fail madi, you will translate this fail madi as your fail mudare. Just in translation. In reality, wakaba is fail madi. So it means iza, and this, by the way, this label for iza will be, iza is called zarf. Okay, iza is called zarf. And wakaba is fail madi. Is a complete sentence. Please always remember this point. Every fail on its own is a complete sentence. Why? Because every fail has these two things, fail and file. And when you got fail and file, it completes your sentence. Okay? Because maf'ul is not compulsory. So wakaba is a fail madi. Okay, I put it here. Wakaba is fail madi. But in this sentence, wakaba will be translated as fail mudare. So iza means when, wakaba means in this sentence, wakaba means when something becomes extremely dark. So basically you are saying ghasikin night iza when wakaba it becomes or it will become, because mudare can be translated as present or future. So iza means when wakaba becomes extremely dark or will become extremely dark. In reality, wakaba is madi. I'm saying it again and again. It means became dark. But now you will translate it as becomes dark or will become dark. So now let's translate the whole ayah to make sense of it. And by the way, inside of wakaba, your file is huwa. Okay? And huwa, depending on the context, in huwa can be translated as he, or sometimes if something is non-human, as wakaba is for the darkness, which is non-human, so you can say it. Okay, huwa can be translated as he and also as it. So let's translate the whole ayah. Wow and min from sharri evil, ghasikin of night, iza wakaba when it becomes extremely dark. You are saying to Allah, oh Allah, I come in your protection from the evil of the night when night becomes extremely dark. Clear? And in a bigger picture, from min, this first word min is jar, and the rest of the whole thing is in the bucket of majroor. So in reality, it's a jar majroor phrase in a bigger picture. Okay, remember this point, because one is the bigger picture in which min is jar and rest of the stuff is majroor. And then inside of this majroor stuff, we discuss them one by one. Last ayah, second last ayah. وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. Now you know one thing, that you got another jar majroor. Okay, but inside of it, let's translate them bit by bit. Again, this wow is ataf, and this wow is connecting this sentence with the previous one, which means that all the sentences are being connected to each other. Okay, min is a preposition, it's a jar. Okay, and because of min, you can see sharri is in jar status. But again, look at this one, because we have seen this one in all the ayat. Sharri and nafasati are linked to each other. Look at this one. An-nafasati. One thing is for sure, it is a ism. How do I know? Because alif lam in the start. Secondly, it is a feminine ism. How do I know? Because of ati. And this ati is telling you it could be nasab, it could be jar. And in this case, we will call it jar. Why? Because sharri and nafasati, shar mean evil, nafasati mean the blowers, those who blow. Okay, and nafasati, those who blow. Okay, and it is female blowers. Okay, sharri mean evil of nafasat. And when you translate by using of, you know that this is in your mudaf ilay construction, and which means that nafasati is in jar status, which means this thing sharri is playing the role of mudaf, and an-nafasati is in the role of mudaf ilay, and this sharri nafasat is actually the majroor part. Okay, in reality, only sharri is majroor, but because sharri is connected with nafasati, we put them in one bucket. So min is jar, sharri nafasati, evil of the blowers, majroor. Okay, and then again, fi is what? We all know fi is another jar. Okay, and this one is majroor. Okay, so you got another jar majroor. Okay, so in reality, let me tell you one thing. After this first ayah, Kul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, you got this first jar majroor min sharri ma khalaq. Second jar majroor min sharri ghasikin idha waqab. Third jar majroor min sharri naffathati fil uqad. And now another jar majroor is coming, and this wow is telling you that it is still connected with the previous one. Okay, so min is jar, sharri is majroor, but again, sharri and hasidin are linked to each other by the meaning of being mudaf ilayh, in which sharri is playing the role of mudaf. By the way, I'm writing this M for mudaf and MA for mudaf ilayh just to make it short. Okay, so sharri and hasidin are mudaf ilayh, and they are in the bucket of majroor. Once again, in reality, only sharri is in the bucket of majroor, but because sharri is connected with hasidin. And then again, you got this iza, and we have discussed this iza already, that iza is a zarf with the word is zarf. And hasada, look, hasada is fail madi. Okay, hasada is your fail madi. And secondly, inside of hasada, you got your file, and that file is again huwa. Okay, let's see that how we can translate it. And because of this iza, by the way, fail madi will be translated as fail mudare. Wow and min from sharri, evil, hasidin, of the envier. Okay, iza, when, hasada, he shows envy or he manifests envy, because hasada is your fail So you need to translate it as fail. One more time. And from the evil of envier when he manifests envy. Hasada, he manifests envy, or you can say he will manifest envy, because you can translate it both in present and in future. But keep in mind, hasada is actually madi. The only reason I'm translating it in as mudari because of this iza. Okay. Now let me give you a bigger picture of the whole surah actually. Please pay attention. You know, whenever you seek protection, this act of seeking protection, it involves three things. Number one, who is seeking protection? Number two, from who you want to seek protection? And number three, with whom you want to seek protection. So Auzu is answering that who is seeking the protection. So I, the reader, I come in protection. Okay, with who? Birabbil Falaq, with the master of the known. Okay, okay, two things are done. Who is coming in protection? Myself. With who coming into protection? With the Rabb of the Falaq. And from what? Rest of the whole surah is ayah number 2, 3, 4, 5. All of them are telling you that from what? Number 1, ayah number 2, from the evil of whatever he created, and from the evil of the night when it becomes dark, and from the evil of the blowers in the north. Fi mean in and okad mean north. Why? Because when people used to do magic, they would tie the knot and then they blow in those knots. Okay. So from the evil of the blowers in the knots. And the reason nafasati is used as feminine, because in the ancient time, mostly the women were involved in the magic. So that's why nafasati, the female blower word is used. Okay. So from the evil of the blowers in the knots, and from the evil of the envier when he manifests envy. So you see, you please pay attention to this point. I'm saying that ayah number 2, 3, 4, and 5. All of them are telling you the answer of from what you want protection. Okay. Now let's look at even bigger picture. Kul. Kul was your fail and file. Clear? Auzu bi Rabbil Falaq. We discussed that this whole sentence, Jumla failure, is in the place of maf'ul. So kul, in the form of kul, you got fail and you got file. Clear? In the form of Auzu bi Rabbil Falaq, you got your maf'ul. And in the rest of all of ayat are muta'alliq bil fail. So actually, you have one sentence. Kul is the fail and file. Auzu bi Rabbil Falaq is the maf'ul, and rest of all of them are muta'alliq bil fail. That is a bigger, when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the true bigger picture. Okay, so this was an analysis of Surah Al-Falaq. So my advice to all of you is, please watch the video carefully, pause at every single point, because at this stage we are a beginner students. Okay, so you need to be very careful and you have to go very slow. Bismillah ta'ala, after analysis of 3, 4, 5 surahs, inshallah, you will pick up your speed. Okay, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give barakah in your learning and in my teaching. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this act a true act of worship and investment for our akhirah. Barakallahu fi, jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.